Do something, man. People are questioning you. Shut up. Shut up. Okay, yep, do that. Sure, guys. Stupid and dumb. Just an idiot. Get your shit together, son. Fuck it. I loved it. Welcome to the DubCast. So today we are welcoming on a very special guest, the first guest to the DubCast. We have Cam Fain, also known as
What's up,
Rat.
fellas?
Would you like to give a short introduction, or you want to just jump right in?
Oh, what's up? I'm Rat. I'm assuming most people know me. I'm ready to give Dub some knowledge about the NBA and the state of the basketball.
All right, so this segment's going to be about the NBA, obviously. So jumping right in, I have two main things I want to jump into before we go series by series, kind of, and then
Sure.
okay. So first, I received some critical feedback from you on my bracket predictions. So what were your
hmm
gripes, if you remember?
I I believe you had the Bucks winning. I told you what's up with that.
Okay, that's wrong, but okay.
You didn't? You didn't have the Bucks winning?
Nope. We'll get into that
All right.
later, but
We'll get into that later. The Magic put up a great fight in that last series. I mean, it just ended a few hours ago. I couldn't watch the game. I was graduating college. Thank you for the happy hashtag.
congratulations. Yeah, okay.
Um, The Magic put up a great fight. They must have, just off the top of my head, just to guess, they probably outscored them by 45 in that series. They lost. Pretty brutal. Celtics, that was a great call on Dub's part. I mean, they gave them 5. They got them in 5. I didn't think they were going to lose a game. I didn't think the Heat were going to shoot a record-breaking night in game 2. No one did. Um, just on that note, I really didn't like how the Celtics played that series. They were really just
All right, well,
not even trying.
hold this
We'll
specific.
get there. We'll get there. We'll
Yeah.
get there.
All right,
The West, I didn't have any gripes with. I don't remember what you picked, but I thought what you picked with the West was fine.
okay, so we're gonna go into what I picked and then what actually happened
Okay,
through each series.
okay.
So don't worry, I will be checked. But so, seeming as though you didn't really have any gripes that you remembered, you just wanted to call me out. We'll go into the next question. Do you have any overarching NBA thoughts, but like overarching, not like specific series wise? Like you watch more of the season than I do, so is there anything you've been noticing in the playoffs?
Well, this was something that I was thinking about today that I haven't thought about in a while. Actually, there was a stretch in either February or March where, and people are going to be annoyed by this. And yeah, I'm even annoyed that I'm saying it right now. But there's a stretch in NBA February, March area time frame where it was just so brutal how rigged it is. And just be on the lookout for this because like it's actually bad. They so far in the NBA I've seen good things, but it's been bad and the ability that the refs have to just completely change the outcome of a game. Like unbiasedly watching some of those games, it's really rigged and um that's all I have to say. And if you
Do you,
disagree with me on that, you can disagree with me on that, but
I'm in
that's
your
the only
camp. I'm in your
overarching thing I have to
camp,
say.
but do you have any like specific examples you want to point out, or are you just making that as a point?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm obviously also a gambler, and like a lot
Same.
of times, like if you gamble on something, you say, "Oh, he's gonna lose," but like you can see things happen if you just like are looking at a game and you look beforehand. It's like, okay, the line is -6.5. Like what? Like everyone's either gonna bet Celtics to win by 6.5 or more, or they're gonna bet the other team to win and Celtics win by 1 to 5. Like that's kind of like that does happen. But you can see sometimes down the stretch the way a game shifts. You get like 3 calls in a row on a team, and that team's down by 10, and they end up winning, and you're like, "What did I really just watch?" That kind of happens a lot, and just be on the lookout for that. But again, I haven't seen anything as blatant as I did a few times in the early spring, late winter in
All right.
the playoffs so far.
All right.
So
So
I'm not saying it's a thing yet, but just be on the lookout for that because that's gonna happen.
gamblers
It's
keep an
gonna
eye
gonna
out.
piss me off.
So
Yeah.
my overarching thing, it's not really it's just kind of a stupid thing, but I noticed that literally every time an NBA player either gets a foul call or gets a call out of bounds that they think's wrong, they're just like every time. I think I've seen it every NBA game I watch, they're like
Yeah.
review, review, review. And like challenge
Yeah.
is good, but they just need to stop complaining. But anyways,
I mean,
okay.
yeah, I agree with you there. Sometimes the challenge is good, but like Jason Tatum, like hit a guy in the
It's
arm
not
where
even
it's like
it's like even
it was like almost not a foul, but like we need to calm down. I agree with you there. Yeah,
even players like I respect who like I don't view as
yeah,
complainers like Brunson, he's just like every time it's
yeah.
like, bro, Thibodeau's got it. All right. So let's jump in series by series. We will start in the East, and we will start with the Celtics series. So
Yeah.
my prediction was Celtics in 5. Shocker.
Hmm.
It was Celtics in 5. Now,
Yeah.
I did take specific notes for each game that I watched, and you'll see by my notes that I tried to watch as much as I could, but I was also trying to pay attention to NHL. Also have a life to lead, so
Right.
it is what it is. So my observations here, game one. So I think the Celtics might have figured something out by just shooting a quintillion amount of threes. I think that there's something to that. We saw with the Rockets. That was one of my notes. I have like 2 or 3 notes a game, so it's not going to be
Hmm.
anything
Hmm.
crazy. So I think the energy that Peyton Pritchard has been bringing off the bench is crazy, and I want to give a shout out to everyone who disrespected him and said that we don't have a backup point guard that's smart, and everyone who's freaking crying about that trade. Peyton Pritchard is
Yep.
good, and him and freaking Hauser in game one, man,
He's a
unbelievable.
dog. Yep.
And so my note for the Heat was they need to find consistent scoring in this series or it's a wrap. And then we cut to game two. Consistent scoring was found by the Heat in this game where they just shot like a bazillion threes. Unreal shooting night from the Heat in game two. And
Hmm.
then my last note for game two is the Celtics are winning 4 straight, which I meant 3 straight. But
Yeah.
so I did watch game five, but I didn't even have anything to note on that series. But so we'll go through the series and then we'll go to for example, like Orlando and Cleveland after this, and then after we're done talking about both those series, we'll go into what we think for the next series. So, what were your thoughts on
I mean,
Heat
I,
versus Celtics?
I agree with you on the on what you said. My big thing is like the reason the Celtics are the best team in the league is because every single player, like you can name their 8 best players right now, they all have reliable 3-point shots. Like if any of the Celtics 8 best players are shooting threes or have an open three, you want them to take it. And Hauser's lights out. Somehow people don't know about Hauser. Somehow.
Yeah,
And
he's
one thing that
a
I was grilling you offline about is Luke Cornett. And fellas, I'm not gonna lie to you. This series is starting. No Porzingis, I think. Maybe I'm not sure about Porzingis. Do you know
he's
anything
I
about
don't think he's
Porzingis?
gonna play. I don't think he's gonna play the series.
Which is a good thing because it sounds like this injury is just like some lame shit, and Celtics are gonna smoke the Cavs. So
Oh,
it's good
also
that Kristaps he's getting more rest, in my opinion.
another
He's really just
overarching
getting
thing with
rest.
that I've found is I feel like there's so many NBA injuries in the playoffs. Like in the NFL, it's like okay, there's like one guy who's like out or whatever, but I feel like in every series there's like a very impactful injury that's like
Yeah,
you have like Zion out, you have Kawhi in and out, you
yeah.
have Jamal Murray's like sick, Jared Allen's in and like I don't know. I feel like it's weird. I don't know if it's bad luck or they're like milking the injuries. I don't know. Probably not milking it, but that's just something I noticed
Um,
also.
well, I as far as Kristaps go, I hope he milks it as much as he can because he's very impactful in Eastern
Yeah,
Conference
no,
Finals
obviously
and
we
Finals.
need
We're gonna
Chris
need him.
Stapps, but
But I mean, I kind of agree with you. I mean, players play like I mean, I'm sure you watched most of the Celtics games. Like, we're up by 15 with 2 minutes left, and all the starters are in. That's something I don't really get, but like, it just goes to show that the starters play a lot more, and they're
yeah, no,
playing
they do.
harder.
They do.
There's a lot less points being scored. They're actually playing hard defense in the playoffs, so they get injured. That's just kind of how it goes. But I didn't really see that. I didn't really notice that.
Yeah, so I didn't talk about the Porzingis injury. So we're both Celtics fans. Do you have concerns, or do you think we're going to be all set until? Do you think we need him back by a certain point, or do you think we don't even need him back, or just like ease him back? What's your take on the Porzingis injury?
Well, I think we need him. I think if we're going to win the finals, we're going to have Porzingis. But I think this is a blessing. I mean, I think if he doesn't play all this series, I think we still win the series. And I think that's just more rest for him. And like people don't get rest. Starters don't get rest in the playoffs. And he's very injury prone. Everyone knows that. So I think it's just a
Yeah.
good thing.
So is there
Um,
anything else you wanted to say with the Celtics Heat series?
yeah, the thing that I was a little bit annoyed about is that the Celtics, like game three, we won by like 20 or some shit. The Celtics played so bad that he just missed all their shots. And that happened a lot. Like the Celtics just got lazy. Like they're just like, okay, we're way better than you. We're just gonna be lazy.
Yeah. Well,
And
that seems to
that's
be
where Pritchard comes in and fires everyone up, and like that's good. But
the issue with them is they don't know how to
yeah,
like
yeah,
control a lead and then just finish the job. That's
right.
definitely something to watch moving forward. But I think with this Heat team, it just wasn't a problem because they have like their best players like Tyler Hero, who on any given night could just shoot like two for like 15. So we,
Like Bam Adebayo might be a star on the Celtics. Everyone else will be on the bench in the Celtics.
yeah,
All their starters.
obviously we got
They
lucky
yeah,
with no Jimmy, but
yeah,
okay. So
yeah,
I guess
yeah.
we'll leave it there, and then we'll wait after we talk about this series to talk about who they play next. So we cut to the Orlando versus Cleveland Cavaliers series, also known as the
Hmm.
NBA TV series. And my
Okay.
prediction for this series was the Cavs in 6. Turns out it was Cavs in 7. So my thoughts, I was able to watch game one of this. This was the first game of the playoffs, so I was like locked in, ready to
Hmm.
go.
Hmm.
So my thoughts on the Magic were Bancaro is just carrying and nobody else was scoring. Like this man needs help. I think although that I think Donovan Mitchell is the best player in the series, and I put that now, maybe I'll switch that to just best scorer.
Hmm.
And then I forgot about Evan Mobley, and
Yep.
him and Jared Allen are complete dogs. And I wrote down
Mhm.
that they said the Cavs are 17-1 when they win game one of the series, so that's something to note moving forward. But turns out it was true because now they're 18-1. And then the only other game I was able to catch in this, or actually, it was game five and game seven. So game five, it was another game where Paolo was just doing everything in the last like 8 minutes. He was literally the only one
Hmm.
scoring.
Hmm.
Um, and so I also noticed about Evan Mobley. I want to add him to my teams of guys that can just like play anywhere and just be super efficient and helpful. Like I want him on my team. And then the Cavs have not won a series since LeBron left, which I found was interesting, which is now I guess not true. And I put it
Hmm.
out there. I don't know if this is a hot take. This might have been the best series in the first round. And then obviously game seven today. You didn't watch it, but basically Magic had a big lead and then kind of fell back. I
Yeah.
just want to say before you give your thoughts, I think the Magic are a team to note moving forward. I saw this one clip where they were talking about how like they have cap space and basically all of their young players are like under
Yeah.
contract. They have like Paulo, the Wagner brothers, Suggs has looked really
Hmm.
good. I think Cole Anthony's had a like renaissance year or whatever. So that was kind of my thoughts in the series. I thought it was a well fought series. I thought it was a pretty good series, honestly, because everyone was saying this is going to be like the NBA TV series where no one really gives a shit about like what happens. But I thought this was pretty entertaining. So what did you think about this series? Were you able to watch a lot of the games?
I didn't see much of the series. I'm just gonna be honest. I probably saw maybe 5 quarters throughout the entire series. NBA TV, whatever that means. I'm on that
Well,
train. But
it's like
yeah.
you got like Timberwolves and Suns on like ABC. The Celtics are on
Well,
like
right,
ESPN,
right, right.
yeah, TNT. Like
Yeah,
they were just on NBA TV, which is like the lowest of the low of like the broadcasting channels.
yeah, yeah. I've been struggling. The YouTube TV, they just kicked me out. I was on my mom's YouTube TV and they kicked me out, so now I can't even like watch games. We've been
I'm sorry.
fucking screen mirroring the streamies. It's brutal out here,
I wish
but
I knew what that was. Yeah, I don't know what that is.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
but
But whatever, you know.
did you have any thoughts on the
No,
series?
I mean I agree with you. I mean Donovan Mitchell, the Cavs are a better team, but the Magic, looking forward, like the next few years, there's someone to look at. There's someone to make some goofy bets on next year for like how far they're going to make it, stuff like that. That'll be a team to look out for.
Okay, so yeah, this not
That's all I
really
really had to say.
many eyes on this series, so we'll just cut
Yeah,
to
which is
them.
kind of sad because it probably was a great series. I mean,
No,
I
it
didn't see
was. I
much of
mean,
it, but
literally watching Donovan Mitchell and Paolo was like crazy because it was
yeah,
just both of
yeah.
them like taking over basically the
Hmm.
game.
Hmm.
So now we have the Celtics versus the Cavs. My original prediction from the original bracket was Celtics in six in this series. And now with the Porzingis injury, I can see that happening. I can also see us winning in five. I don't know. I feel like Donovan Mitchell is like a dangerous level player where if he has one of those like 50-point games, we could be in trouble just due to like him just going off. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I agree with you there. I really think it's gonna be similar to the Heat series. Like we're not gonna blow them out as much as we did the Heat, but I mean, just the way the Celtics are, you have to like think that one of these games are gonna be like shitty and lazy. Like I hope if they play and they actually play hard and play like well, they're winning in four. Like that's not like despite Donovan Mitchell doing his best game, like the Celtics play decent, like play hard and play decent every game. They're winning in four, but I agree with you. I think they're gonna win it in six.
If they just play a consistent,
If they just
whatever,
play
like
a
48
consistent good
minutes,
game,
yeah,
they're gonna win. They're gonna win four,
yeah.
but it'll probably be 5 or 6. I'm with
I'm
you
not
there.
too worried about this series. So, all right, move on to the other two series in the East. So, first one we'll talk about is the 76ers versus the Knicks. Originally, I had the Knicks in seven. The Knicks pulled off in six. So, game one, I noticed Josh Hart is a great guy and would also be on my
Mhm.
team with Evan Mobley of just someone I want to play with. Like he can do everything, and he doesn't like
Well, he can't score.
he can make some threes. He can make some shots, and which we'll
He
get
can't
into.
score. He made that nice. He made that nice. That
Um,
iced the game, but he can't score.
I think the Knicks won this game pretty big because I wrote that I still think the series is going to be a bloodbath, which I think it was. And then I noted Embiid's fake injury that he had in this game where he like went out at halftime and everyone's like, "Oh my God, the Sixers are done," and then he just like came back and played
Yeah,
the second half.
yeah.
And then the only other, unfortunately, the other game I was able to watch was Game Six, where Josh Hart made massive shots, and then Brunson, I think in game like three and four,
That was an awesome game.
yeah, I
Yeah,
had Sixers on that game, but whatever.
yeah, me
So
too.
I didn't think Jalen Brunson's going to be able to like do this thing or do like he had like 40 points, then like 37 or something, and then game six, I was like, no way he does this again. So I took the Sixers and then he did it again. So respect to Jalen Brunson. And those are the only I know I missed the crazy game too with like the Dante DiVincenzo. There's a lot of
Mhm.
controversy with all that stuff. So I missed all that. So what were your thoughts on this series?
Yeah, this was a good series. I mean, I think the Knicks were just a better team. Joel Embiid's great, but he's just overhyped. And Tyrese Maxey, I didn't see anything like crazy out of him. I like Tyrese Maxey a
Really?
lot.
Well, people were saying,
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't watch, so I can't say, and I really like
I
Tyrese
mean, he's a
Maxey.
baller. Like he has
Yeah.
some. I mean, he's a baller.
People
But
were saying like he was like a
there was no
legitimate
games where he was just draining threes.
people are saying he's like a legitimate
Legitimate
superstar now.
what? He could be, should be. I mean, he looked starish, not superstarish this series. Like I think it was game five. Like he was just like not shooting in the fourth quarter. He just had open threes. He passing it on that LeBron shit. Like I didn't. I wish I saw more out of him because I like him a lot. And he's like just jets by people. And you're like, let's go, man.
Well, so I think with the 76ers, I think they get off the Tobias Harris contract, which they're paying like him like a ridiculous amount of money to score like four
Hmm.
points a game.
Hmm.
So I think they
Hmm.
can, there's LeBron rumors. I don't know where LeBron's gonna go, but I think they can add another
There's rumors about the Knicks. Yeah,
well, the Sixers, I'm saying.
there's rumors about the Knicks.
But there's rumors about both teams. But what I think the Sixers do need to add somebody like a forward so where they can kind of have a not like a big three because we've seen what big threes have done, but I think they need to add like
Yeah,
something moving forward, another consistent scoring option.
yeah,
Anyways,
I agree. I agree. They're just not there. I mean, they might even be like the fifth best team in the playoffs, but
they still
they're not
haven't
there.
even
They
made
need
at
to add
least
something if they want to be good. Yeah,
they still haven't made the Eastern Conference Finals with Embiid and since the process. So
yeah, yeah.
they're no one's worried about
Well,
playing
the
them.
process is the funniest thing. I mean, that's a
Yeah,
meme at this point.
no
The
one's really worried
process
about
is
the Sixers.
hilarious.
So Sixers go add
Yeah,
somebody. All right.
yeah.
Moving on to the last series of the East, we had Pacers versus the Bucks. My prediction, which you said was wrong, was Pacers in six. Turns out it was Pacers in six. So another pat on my back.
Is that actually you actually said that?
Yeah, I did.
Someone's gonna have
I
to
checked
rewind the
today.
tapes.
I checked today. I literally checked today.
All
Um,
right, good pick. Respect, respect.
so the only game I watched in this series was game one where the Pacers were like -1. Turns out it was a rat line. The Bucks won by like
Yep.
20, so I didn't even take any notes
Mhm.
down. I didn't and then besides that, like Giannis was out and then Dame goes out. So I don't know. I didn't really feel like watching the Pacers just like beat down on the Bucks. Did you watch any of the series and what were your thoughts?
Game one, same thing. Rat line. I got smoked.
Yeah.
It was like a reverse double rat. Like it was some crazy shit. But um, yeah, the Pacers are good. I mean, they got young players. They're the Pacers, so like no one talks about them. Like they're not the Celtics, Knicks, and like that. They got young people. Halliburton's a stud, legit stud, and I think they're gonna give the Knicks some work. I mean, they're a good team. I don't know if they're a better team. I don't really know what was up with Giannis and Lillard, but like, I mean, I don't know. They're not really.
Well,
They have Giannis and Lillard, and like they won with their bench players game five. But
yeah. Pascal Siakam also played really well, so shout him out. But yeah, I mean, I
Pascal
can't really.
Siakam, this is one thing that I wanted to talk about as well. Pascal Siakam is a lifetime playoff bum. I watched Pascal Siakam in the playoffs a lot. I guarantee you that it'll probably be this series. This is their last series. He's going to get exposed. Like if you watch every game of this series, you'll be like, holy shit! Why do people ever talk about Pascal Siakam? He's actually a bum. He'll have one game, maybe he'll drop 30 or something. He'll go off, but
So who will
Pascal
he?
Siakam is a playoff bum. Like Jamal Murray, that's my like pinnacle of like,
We'll
oh,
get
he's
into
good in the
that.
regular season, beast in the playoffs. Pascal Siakam's the exact opposite. He got absolutely carried by Kawhi on the Raptors finals. You're gonna if you watch the series.
Well, I think he's matching up with Isaiah Hartenstein, which I've been paying attention to JJ Redick's podcast, and he's like in love with
Mhm.
Hartenstein. I don't know if he's actually that good, but
Yeah, he's good.
so
He's
okay.
good.
So my original prediction for this New York Knicks Indiana Pacers series was Knicks in seven. I think I'm a little bit lower on that now. I think Knicks in 5 or 6 games. What do you think?
Um, no, the Knicks are. I think the Knicks are a lot better, but and that's a weird series too with the Bucks. Like, oh my god, sorry, I gotta put on do not disturb. I'm on my phone right now. I'm on some red shit. I'm getting blown up by autistic kids. Um, Yeah, that was a weird series between the Pacers and the Bucks. I think the Pacers give it to them. I think the Pacers do what people don't expect them to. I think they steal 2 games. I'm just going Knicks in 6 or 7. But I like your original pick of Knicks in 7. I think
Yeah,
the
I don't know.
Pacers are
I
good.
just feel like the
I mean,
Knicks.
they're the Indiana Pacers. Like no one has ever put any weight to that those words, but
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't see. I don't
they're
like.
legit good.
I'm not in love with the Pacers. I just don't. I feel like this series was kind of fraud just because there's literally nobody on the Bucks besides like Chris Middleton, and I just think the Knicks are super tough. Where like, and you don't want to play them in a playoff series. I mean, I guess they lost to the Heat last year, but like, I don't know. I would not. I don't know. I think the Knicks are definitely going to win the series. I think the question is like how many games. So we'll see how my original prediction holds up
I
there.
could see the Pacers winning this. Jalen Brunson,
Really,
as much as I hate his fucking ugly face, like Jalen
you don't
Brunson
like
is a
Jalen
beast,
Brunson?
and he no, he's very good. I can't deny that he's very good, and he's gonna drop 40 multiple times in this series, and like he's really good. And I hate his stupid fucking ugly ass face, but
Well, I think this is I
yeah,
think this is my
he's a dog.
favorite.
He's a
I think this
dog,
is
and
one of my
he'll
favorite
probably win it.
series of round two because Knicks fans hate Tyrese Halliburton for some reason. There's some weird like Twitter battles where they do like Jalen Brunson versus Halliburton and they get so mad. It's so funny. So
Well, that's good. I mean, you love
If
a
the
scrappy
Pacers
series, but yeah.
won, I don't care. I'd appreciate the Pacers winning, but I still think the
They
Knicks
could
win.
win. They could. I don't think you should write them off. That's all I'm gonna say. I agree with you there.
Dude, if
I got
the
Knicks in six or
well,
seven, but I don't think you should write them off.
not to look ahead, but if the Celtics play the Pacers, I mean, come on, that's like five games. All right,
Yeah.
we'll go to the West. So
I
we'll
mean,
start.
just before we leave the East, like we said earlier, I mean, if the Celtics are playing decent 48 minutes, the East should be 1 in 12 games. Like they shouldn't. If they play decent 48 minutes, no one in the East can compete.
Well, that's what I
The Celtics
said.
have
I
the
think,
best roster. Like honestly, people will get mad at me. I always say this. Like since the Warriors, and even maybe including the Warriors, like this is one of the best teams ever assembled in basketball.
hold the horses there. We'll see.
What are we? What? Why are we holding horses?
They
Okay,
lost.
whatever. We'll go to the West.
All right.
Whatever. We'll go to the West.
I don't know. I think. I mean, obviously they had a very good record. They played very well in the regular season, but I think
All right, let's go to the West. The West is a lot more fun.
there's still some weird
The
energy with
Celtics
the
are going to
Celtics.
dominate the East.
I mean, yes,
The West
but
is more
okay.
fun.
All right, we'll get into the West. First we'll start off with the Pelicans versus Thunder series. So my original prediction was Thunder in 6 games, and
Hmm.
turns out they swept them.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't really watch any of these games. I watched one of the last, or I watched the first game where it was kind of back and forth, but that was only like the last couple minutes. I think Chet played really well in a couple games. Shy's still shy. I know who Shy is. I looked at the video. I did mention him earlier, but I said Kyrie is better, so I guess maybe we can get into that. But did you have any thoughts? How many of this series did you end up watching, etc.?
Didn't watch much, but I mean, the Thunder played a 13 seed. Like the
Yeah.
the
Well,
Pelicans without Zion is not is like
this is
one of the
another
worst
one of
teams in the
those where it's like
NBA.
Zion
Yeah,
wasn't there, so
yeah,
how much weight are you putting behind this series? I mean, I don't know, but
yeah.
Thunder, I guess, is impressive. They swept them. Good for them. This is their first kind of playoff in like the new quote unquote era where they have like all these younger players. They got the 1 seed, so we'll see what they have in the second round. Okay, so another interesting
I think the
series.
Thunder are a little bit fraudulent.
No, I agree. I agree. Because
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see. They'll be facing the Mavericks, and so my
Hmm.
prediction for this series was Mavericks versus Clippers. I had the Mavericks in 7 originally. They went in 6. The only
Hmm.
game I really watched was game 2. That was the game where Luca hit a three from like 90 feet away and then was going
Hmm.
like ape shit on the fans.
Hmm.
I thought it was important for them that Maxi Kleber, who's now hurt, and also PJ Washington made big shots down the stretch because I don't think they have a lot of scoring outside of Luca and Kyrie. So getting important shots from those guys was important for their run moving forward.
Hmm.
And then this is like an important game for them, stealing one on the road against the Clippers with Kawhi, who was playing at that point,
Hmm.
could turn the series. So, what did you think about the Mavs? Do you think they're legit, or do you think this was another case of like Kawhi was out, so they just won the series? And how much did you watch of this series?
I mean, the games that Kawhi was in, they lost. The Clippers
Yeah,
lost the games that Kawhi was in. As much as I love Kawhi, Kawhi's my favorite player. It sucks that he just like is hurt,
really.
and like he was kind of playing like a bitch. Like and when I did watch, he was kind of playing like he wasn't all there for it. But yeah, I love Kawhi. Sad to see him like not play and be sad. But I watched that. It must have been Game 5. This was a great series. This was my favorite series. This was a great series. Like Game 5, when the Mavs were down 31, they came all the way back, and then Harden just floated the hell out of them. He floated the lights out. Harden's good. Playoff P is good. People
Playoff
hate on
P.
playoff P. I was sad. I agreed more than anything with your takes on this series when you on your last podcast. I wish this was the Western Conference Finals. I mean, these are two teams that are just easy to root for.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
but
Luka's a beast.
going into
Yeah.
this NBA season, I was like, I really want to root for the Clippers this year. Like they finally have it all together. They
Mhm,
just got James Harden.
mhm,
They still have Russell Westbrook. They still have playoff P. And then game one, before even game one started, it was like a week before the playoffs. I'm already seeing stuff on Twitter about how Kawhi is gonna like miss games and stuff. I'm like, okay, they're not gonna win the series.
mhm,
They're not gonna be able to consistently win games in a series until Kawhi is like fully healthy, playoff P, Paul George is fully healthy.
mhm,
Even like they need these guys to stay healthy, and it sucks
mhm.
that it just hasn't happened yet. But I have no faith in them when one of them has an injury. So it just
Yeah.
this was a sad series and also a happy series because
I mean, yeah.
we got to
The
see
Clippers are never gonna
Luca.
win anything. They're just mostly washed. They're mostly washed. I'm watching them,
Yeah,
you know.
I don't know.
They're
It's
never gonna
like
win
you
anything.
have these groups in the NBA who like they get super far in the playoffs or like they do well in the playoffs
Mhm,
or in the regular season and then they just never end up making it far. And I think the Clippers are just going to be
yeah.
another one of those teams in history that is kind of just forgotten. So what are your thoughts on the Mavs versus Thunder series? Originally, I had Mavs in 6 games, and I think I might stick by that.
What were you saying about Kleber being hurt? He's not hurt, right?
No, he's hurt, but I don't know the severity of it. I think he might miss a couple games.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that actually matters. Yeah, you might have been right. I mean, Kawhi's good. People forget that he carried LeBron to a chip. Um,
Kawhi? Oh, Kyrie, you
uh,
mean?
Kyrie, yeah, Kyrie.
Yeah.
Kyrie's really good. You might have been right about that. Yeah, I agree with you there. I think Mavs in six. If Kleber's out, maybe Mavs in seven. But like, I always think back to that game when Luca had 27 in the first half and the Suns had 27 in the first half. And they just
Yeah.
blew him out in a game seven. Like Luca is a playoff. Like he's a beast in the regular season, but he's also a beast in the playoffs, and he's so fucking good. It's crazy watching him play.
Yeah, no, people say now that they
It's
have nobody on
crazy.
their team, but when it was him versus Steph in the West Conference or
Yeah,
him versus the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals when the Celtics played the Warriors in the finals. I think this was two
right.
years ago. He had
Yeah.
nobody on that team. Like there was no Kyrie, there
hmm
was no PJ
hmm
Washington, there was no anybody. So I think this is like
hmm
an upgraded version of that team. So I think they're gonna make it to the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree with you. Yeah, it's probably gonna be seven. If Kleber's out, that's big, but I think they take it in seven. That's what I say.
yeah. Also, the Thunder fans go crazy, so there is definitely like a home boost there.
But just going off of like the Mavs just fought a tough series. The Thunder just won 4 games in a row against a horrible team. Like the Thunder, just like on paper, if you think about it, like it's a college game, like the Thunder's they're like riding high right now. The Mavs are like, all right, we're in playoff mode. Like the Mavs should win game one. If the Mavs don't win game one, that's bad. They really should
Actually,
win game one. And I think you should bet on the
yeah.
Mavs
Let
to
me
win
look
game
at the
one.
line right now.
Yeah. Get a line check so I can see it ready. Is that tomorrow?
I think it's going to be Tuesday. We
Hmm.
got Thunder minus 3.5 first game.
Under minus 3.5. Yeah, this is a weird one. I don't know if I'm going to bet too much in this series because I mean people are going to take the Mavs in this game.
It
I'm
feels
not
like one
going
of
to
those
bet more.
series where like every team you think is going to win a game, the other team just wins.
Yeah, that could easily be one of those series. And the Thunder, I mean, I was shitting on you offline about Shea. Shea is very good.
Yeah.
He's young. He's very
No,
good.
I know who Shea is. I should have mentioned. I mean, I think right now I'd still take Kyrie over him, and that's probably just me like not watching basketball this year a lot. So, but
I mean, Kyrie's good. I mean, Kyrie in the playoffs, when you watch him do his fucking bullshit when he's up at the rim when he dribbles, you're like, all right. I mean, Kyrie's Kyrie. He's nothing's changed. He's still him.
yeah. Let's get to the next series in the West, which was the only series that I predicted wrong. We had the Suns versus the Timberwolves, and
Mm.
I picked the Suns in seven games. Turns out the
hmm
Timberwolves won in 4 games, so I was able to catch 2 games of the series. Game one,
hmm
I noted KD is going to get his. I feel like no matter what, KD is going to have 25 points in the game. He's always going to get his points. And then I also thought Ant is him. It's just hard not to love Ant. And so the other game I caught was game three. Got scammed by a same game parlay on FanDuel boost. Needed the Suns to win. My note was Suns suck and are chokers. Beal made like 5 threes, but they were down like 20 at that point. Cat went off, and then the West may not be that interesting first round, which I don't know if that's a crazy take, but I feel like it really wasn't that exciting. Besides maybe the Mavs and Clippers series. So, what were your
Yeah.
thoughts on this? Obviously, there's a lot to dive into with the Suns. Overlaying thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, overlying thoughts are like Brad Stevens will probably get executive of the year. I mean, he's made the best team ever. If there's like an opposite of that, like worst executive there is, like getting Bradley Beal, okay, that's the dumbest thing you can do.
Yeah.
That's the dumbest
Well,
thing you can do. He's horrible. Um, yeah, I mean the Suns are frauds. I mean KD. Well, I don't even know what you want me to. I just talking about the Suns here specifically. I don't know. Like on paper, they should be good. They got Devin Booker, they got KD, but like I don't know. I guess they just can't play defense. And the Timberwolves are legit, and Anthony Edwards is that guy.
Well, I think this was a really bad matchup for them because they have Gobert and they have Cat, and the Suns have Nurkic who's good, but they don't have somebody else to like they have like I think it was Cat was guarding Kate or Katie was guarding Cat or
Hmm.
something like that. So I
Hmm.
think they also don't have a point guard. They have Booker who's like a really good player, but he's not a point guard. He's a shooting guard playing
Yeah.
point. So I think that was a problem. And then you have I feel like you have too many mouths to feed where you have Beal, Booker, and Katie who all want to be like 30-point scorers a night where it's just not going to work like that. And I think Beal from what I saw, was the one on the short end of the stick there. Even like I feel like he didn't even shoot that much.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, they just have. It's like when I don't even know what team it was or whatever it was, but it's like when Harden and Westbrook were on the same team, and it's like, like, why are we doing this? Like,
Yeah,
this isn't how you get successful. And yeah, the Timberwolves are just good. The Timberwolves are just really good.
yeah. And
And
we can talk about game one, which already happened between the
yeah.
Timberwolves and the Nuggets. Well, I guess we'll go into that after actually. Um,
Mhm.
But so the Suns moving forward, they have Bradley Beal who has a no trade clause. They have Booker, I think, on a deal. There's been rumors about Booker or the Knicks really wanting Booker, but he wants to stay and be with one team. And then you have KD who probably wants to leave. There's rumors of him going to back to his Oklahoma City Thunder. Um, what do you make of all these rumors? Do you have a place you want to see KD go? Do you want to see them? Personally, I kind of want to see them run it back and try and get more pieces. I mean, I don't. I feel like they were one of those teams where it was like the Harden Nets where like they played like 10 games together. Like you don't really know what you have and you're stuck with all these contracts. You might as well just run it back and like try keep I think Nurkic is gonna be a free agent, but try and bring in like a big man, bring in a point guard. I mean,
Yeah.
you're not gonna sign like good role players, but you can sign people to make an impact. I feel like it's worth a
Yeah.
shot.
I mean, Booker and KD are really good, but they're not teams that you can like build around. They're not teams that are going to win you a championship. They're just like they're two good players.
Yeah.
If you want to watch a fun team and watch Katie go off one night, Booker go off the other night, they're cool. But they're not a team that's going to win anything. And every time I see anything about the Suns' future, I'm just like, I don't care at all. They're not going to do anything.
Yeah. Well,
I've seen all these pictures all everywhere, just like KD, Steph, and LeBron. Like, will any of them win a finals ever again? No, they're done.
eh, but
No, none of them are going to win anything ever again.
LeBron got one
It's
more in him.
sad.
No shit. LeBron's got one
I
more in him.
mean,
All right.
whatever.
Well,
I don't want
so
to talk about
another
LeBron
thing to
again.
mention is the Suns don't have any picks, so they're just kind of screwed. So this sucked to see the Suns go out like this, but also I feel like they kind of talk shit and it had it coming. So it is what it is. I like the way the Timberwolves play too, where they have like the two big men. You have McDaniels and Edwards, who are just studs. Mike Conley's been doing it a long time. I like the way
Yeah,
they
that's how you. I mean, that's like this is just like a classic example of like if you know, like if you like, I don't even know the NBA that well. If you know the NBA that well, you're going to say, okay, the Timberwolves are going to fuck them up this series. Like
yeah,
Katie and Booker are not two players that win you playoff series. They're two players that like get you views, and they're like, oh, look at him, he scored 40. The Timberwolves
yeah.
are like big men who are ugly as shit, like Rudy Gobert's ass and Cat's ass.
Do you think they're ass
Um,
players or they are
they're gonna
just
get exposed. They're gonna get exposed. We'll talk about it later, but
all right?
I mean, but like that's how you make a good playoff team. No, they're actually not. I don't know why I said that. Again, I've drank so much, fellas. I'm sorry. I don't even know anything that I've said previously. The past 3 days I've drank so much. The Timberwolves are a good team. They're built to be a good team. Oh man, Rudy Gobert is so ugly though.
Okay, well,
Man, he's ugly.
let's move on to the last series. We had the Lakers versus the
Hmm.
Nuggets.
Hmm.
I, to your dismay, picked the Nuggets in 6 games, but they won in 5 games. You thought that LeBron wasn't
Hmm.
going to get two. You're right. They only got one.
Yeah.
I think this is probably the series I watched the most. Game one, the Nuggets just have too many dudes in their team. Like they just have studs all around. Even when Jokic isn't playing well or Murray's not playing well, they'll have like Gordon hit like three threes or something, or MPJ or KCP is really good now. Um, and then I appreciated LeBron where there was I think it was the fourth quarter, he just like didn't shoot for like 8 minutes and then they just like didn't score for like 8 minutes. Like LeBron, you gotta shoot. We get the point. But just thought that was funny that he didn't shoot. Game
That's your
two,
goat. That's your goat that you're talking about.
dude, he's proving a point. It's all Darvin Ham's fault, okay? He's
Dude,
already
that all right. Have you talked about this in the podcast at all? Have you talked about this anywhere where your
what?
fucking goat loses he's down 3-0 and then he's like, at the end of the day, it's just basketball, man. It's just
It's
basketball. Have you
true.
talked about that at all? Oh yeah,
No.
it's the truth. Yeah, okay.
What's he supposed to
How about
do?
do what Jokic does, win a finals, and then say, fuck, I need to go see my horses. Like I don't want to go to parade. That's how you do it.
That's basically the same thing in just
No, it's not. It's not the same
different
thing as
ways.
being down 3-0, getting smoked and saying, guys, it's just basketball, and then being like butthurt when people correctly say that MJ's the GOAT or Kobe.
Or so Kobe's 1A to you?
Kobe's 1A.
All right, so we can address
Whatever.
this in a bit.
Sidebar. Dumb.
Maybe game two, or not maybe game two. Game two. I think the Lakers just straight up cursed against the Nuggets. Maybe they're just not as good. AD has another solid game, and then Murray just hits this like fading game winner over AD. Crazy moment. Game three, D'Lo scoring zero is just funny and like another historic choke from him. Sometimes you just can't beat someone, and I really thought the Nuggets were going to win game four. Didn't really watch the game. I was out that night, but
Mm-hmm.
Lakers end up stealing one at home. It's the gentleman's sweep. Game five, we have the
Yep.
Nuggets. I gave the Lakers an A plus for effort. Really tough draw for them, but you need wait, hold on though. You need to beat every team, so it doesn't really A plus for effort doesn't really matter. And the people who say they like would have beat whoever, it doesn't really matter because you're gonna have to play the Nuggets eventually. So I think that's a stupid take. So I think good. It was a good try, like honestly, but just no.
It
Austin
was a good try, yeah. We'll say that about LeBron's career. What were you
River.
saying about game two? What was your note in game two?
Well, I
I had
still have
something to
more
say
to say
about that.
about
I don't
game
know if you had
five.
a
So Reeves is taking
Oh, okay, whatever. Yeah, keep going.
some like late shot, and I was like, why is Reeves taking that shot? And then after this game, Murray hits another game winner. I'm putting him in the combo with Jimmy Butler for playoff legend, and you kind of alluded this earlier, but this dude in the playoffs, and it's not even like he's a bad player, but when it's the playoffs, Jamal Murray is just like on another
Yeah,
level. Um,
it's bananas. It's like it's him and Jimmy Butler, but like every single year, it's like, all right, like you might as well just bet on him to score 40 points any given night. Like he's crazy in the playoffs. It's bananas. And
you,
yeah, earlier you said I don't know what it is about the Lakers. I guess they're just cursed against the Nuggets. You're talking about the Nuggets. It's not like they're cursed against the Nuggets. It's LeBron versus Jokic. It's some washed up old fucking bum who all he does is look at himself on social media against the best player of the past since maybe Kobe, the best player since Kobe. Like Jokic is so good, and then when you just have Jamal Murray, that it just turns up so heavy more than anybody else in the playoffs. They don't lose. They're not going to lose. There's horrible ass LeBron and AD. AD's such a bum, dude. AD's so
AD
soft. He
AD
doesn't
played
he doesn't
he
care.
I agree he's soft, and I'm gonna give credit to AD because a couple years ago, like
Also, I didn't watch any of this series at all.
okay, good to know. AD a couple years ago, I got so mad at him because all he would do is just like camp at the 3 point line and shoot threes. Like, brother, you're the best power forward in the game. Like, take it
Yeah,
to the hoop. And I think
yeah.
he's done a better job of that now. He shoots mid range and like goes to the hoop, and that's I think he's kind of
hmm
he's not erasing
hmm
the take that he's soft, but he's like that's why he's been so effective is because he's actually drives to the hoop and like goes to the post and actually like stops shooting threes and stuff. Um,
Well, I just want you to rescind your statement of like, I don't know what it is about the Lakers. They just can't beat the Nuggets. Maybe they're cursing. Can you just take that back for
yeah,
a
that's
second and
stupid.
say
Well,
the Nuggets are a
that was just
way
me.
better team?
That's obvious. That was just me being this like sad LeBron fan, being like, oh, they just can't win. You know, I had a moment. So let's cut to
Okay.
the second round matchup where we have the Nuggets versus the Timberwolves. So in my original prediction, I had the Suns winning the first series. So my prediction was Nuggets in 5 games. I don't think the Nuggets beat the Timberwolves in 5 games, considering they already lost game one. But I think the Nuggets still win this series. I'd give it probably 6 or 7. What say you?
I mean, I agree with you. I have to. I mean, I don't know how anybody in their right mind would bet against Jokic in any series unless they're going against the juggernaut of the Boston Celtics. But yeah, that was a wild game one. I mean, I'm a little blurry on that night because of fucking these guys, but I remember that
We
game being
get it. You
amazing.
drink.
That game was
Jesus.
awesome.
I was watching
I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry, dude. My brain's ruined. But that game was awesome last night. They pulled away at the very end, but that game was awesome.
I was watching the Bruins and UFC, so I missed it.
Mhm.
Okay, so before we wrap up here, my predictions are already set in stone. They're locked in. So do you want to give either a mini bracket for the rest of the playoffs, or do you want to just go over who you have in the finals, or what do you want to do? How do you want to do it?
Sure, I'll just rip through it. Celtics in 5, Knicks in 6, Celtics in 7 against the Knicks. I
Okay,
don't like it. The Celtics are going to be bums. Um, Jokic in 7.
just Jokic in
What
7.
what do we have? What is the other series?
Mavs and Thunder.
Jokic in 7, Mavs and just say Mavs in 5. Um, yeah, and then we have Jokic
Mavs
versus the
versus.
Mavs. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go Jokic in 7 again, and then Celtics in 6.
Okay,
Call it the
so wait, so
playoffs.
you have the Nuggets in the finals?
I do have the Nuggets in the finals.
Okay, so I have the Mavericks winning against the Nuggets. I'm losing a little bit of faith in that, but I feel like the Nuggets after that game one, maybe they exposed a weak spot, but also the Timberwolves just have crazy bigs.
Hmm.
Okay,
I mean,
so
I showed you my bet slip. Mavs or yeah, whatever. That's something I want to get into. But the Mavs, the Timberwolves, and the Nuggets can all come out of the West, and I'm not surprised. All teams are good. The Timberwolves could smoke the Nuggets, and I'd be like, wow, but like that could happen. That's something that you got to be prepared for as a NBA fan, and more importantly, as a gambler. That the Nuggets, like, you can't just bet on the Nuggets game two and be like, this is a free bet. Like, it's not. It's really not, which is sad to say.
I was actually looking at the Nuggets, but 5.5
Hmm.
is too high for me, so I'm
You got
going.
-5.5.
Yeah,
Yeah, just take money line there. You
yeah,
want to stay away from those -5.5s. Like even the Lakers series, the Nuggets won by like 3, like every game.
yeah. I'm probably gonna cook up like Knicks, Nuggets like alternate point spread just to make like good odds, but we'll see.
The thing is, it seems too easy. Like me and you have the same series winners for all 4 series. It seems a little bit too easy. Like maybe like
Yeah, no, this is where
even the Pacers. Like this is where it gets weird. Like the Pacers
that's
might
what I
win.
was just
Maybe
saying. Like I feel like the first round is
the
pretty
Thunder
easy.
could come out of the West just out of nowhere.
I feel like the first round's pretty easy to predict, and then the second round is kind of where like shit hits the fan, and then
But it seems so easy. It seems
yeah.
so obvious.
All right, so
Also, expect to be pissed off as a Celtics fan. Just that's all I
yeah,
gotta say.
no, we're gonna
So.
lose like 1 or 2 games, and then all chaos is gonna break loose. Okay, so thank you so much for coming on today. I'm sure you'll be back at some point. Is there anywhere we could follow along with you, or are you just living the dream on no social media?
Yeah, I'm pretty much no social media. Um,
Anything you want to
no,
advocate for?
That Bruins game last night was so electric. It was just like gritty. They score, fuck, we score, bang, OT, boom. That's all I had to
That
say on the Bruins.
that's a great segue for my next segment, which I'll be covering the NHL playoffs as we see a Sakic jersey here.
Yeah, good pronunciation.
All
All
right,
right, thanks, Colin. That was
yeah.
a great time on the Dr. DubCast.
Okay, so we had our NBA recap and analysis. So now let's get into the NHL. So the first series I wanted to talk about is the Knights versus the Stars. This was my favorite series to watch. I loved the back and forth where the Knights took the first 2 games in Dallas, and then the Dallas Stars took the next 2 games in Vegas. So my original prediction for this series was Stars in 7, and the Stars won in 7. So that was good for me to see. Really looking forward to this next series, which we will get into right now. So we had the Colorado Avalanche versus the Winnipeg Jets, which I predicted the Avalanche would win in 6 games. They won in 5 games. This Avalanche team is crazy scoring goals every game. They scored 7 in the first game, or they scored 6 or 7 in the first game, lost. That was their only loss, and then every game after that, there might have been a 1-0 in there, but McKinnon is a dog, and this Avalanche versus Stars series is really going to be something crazy, man. I'm really excited for the second round of these NHL playoffs. I think they're super solid, and this is my favorite matchup I'm looking forward to is the Avalanche versus the Stars. My original prediction for this series was Stars in 6. I think I'm going to stick by it. I think the Stars end up coming out. I think they're just a good team, but I think they screw around too much a little bit. But I think they can pull out this series against the Avalanche. This is a very hard path where you have to face the Knights and the Avalanche, the last 2 Stanley Cup winners. but I believe in the Stars. I think the talent is there. I think they just need to try. It seems like sometimes they're just not trying on offense, and they need to be more pressure, more locked in, more just go out there and win games. Okay, so that was the first series in our first bracket in the West. Moving on, we had the Predators versus the Canucks. My prediction was the Canucks in 5. I said Nashville's not a hockey town. Turns out they had a couple games in them. They won in 6, so still right on the team, just wrong in the amount of games. I didn't watch much of this series. This was the least interesting series to me, just on paper, to watch as a super casual NHL fan. That being said, I didn't catch some of the games. Nashville gave a good fight. The Canucks are just a better team. So, yeah, that was my analysis there on the Canucks and Predators. And we go to the Oilers and the Kings, another series that I just couldn't really watch due to being on the East Coast and having a job. These games started at 10 p.m., so it's hard for me to watch them in entirety. And with me not being able to watch the end, it's no point in watching the beginning. So my original prediction for this series was Oilers in 7. I thought that these two would be a clash of teams that met in the past couple years. It feels like they always play, and there'd be some back and forth. The Kings did steal one of the early games, but after that it was all the Oilers. Oilers winning 5 games. So this sets up the Oilers versus the Canucks, and my original prediction for the Oilers versus the Canucks was Oilers in 6. And I'm going to stick by that. I think the Oilers will win this series, setting up Oilers versus Stars, which will be a crazy series. But this Oilers versus Canucks series is lower down in my. Actually, it might be at the bottom of my series, and this just entertainment-wise. But nonetheless, I'm going to try and watch more of these games now that there's less NBA games and less NHL games. So this should be an interesting one. I think the Oilers coming out on top. They get the best player in the series, McDavid, and they have a somewhat functioning goalie now, so I'm going to take the Oilers still. Okay, moving over to the East Coast, we had the Florida Panthers versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. My original prediction was Lightning in 7. This is the one I got wrong, the only one I got wrong. So, yeah, I think I jinxed them. Panthers win in 5 games. Panthers just look completely legitimate. Saw that, I think it was game 3 where they went into overtime. Panthers just had everything, had all the answers. Vasilevsky didn't play great, it seems, but I expect that the Lightning will bounce back because they always do. And as long as they have Stamkos, they have some remnants of that championship team that won 2 or 3 in a row. So I will always have respect for the Lightning in the NHL playoffs. Moving on to the next series, my favorite series of the first round to watch was my Bruins versus the Toronto Maple Leafs. My original prediction for the series was the Bruins winning in 6 games. Turns out it took them 7, and wow, that was a ride. Yeah, I mean, what is there to say about this series? We had the Bruins up 3-1, of course, and then they go down, or they lose the next 2 games. Then it's 3-3, game 7. Toronto Maple Leafs score with 10 minutes left in the third period, and then the Bruins answered right back. We go into overtime, stressful time, and the David Pastrnak gets a fast break, dime of a pass from Lindholm. Bruins score, Bruins win, season success in the DubCast book. So Bruins win this series, move on to face the Panthers from last year. So this is a revenge for when the Panthers beat us, and we had the President's Trophy, and we lost after being up 3-1, of course. So my original prediction for this series was the Lightning beating the Bruins in 7 games. I do unfortunately think the Florida Panthers will advance, but I think the Bruins can give them a really good fight here. I think they're going to want not blood from last year, but they're going to want to come back and prove that they're a strong team here. And I think, given the circumstances of everything in between this rivalry, I think the Bruins can pull out a couple of games. So obviously the Lightning lost some. This part of my bracket's already screwed, but I think the Bruins can give the Panthers a fight. Ultimately, I think the Panthers will prevail, though. So moving on to the last 2 series of the Eastern Conference, we had the Rangers versus the Capitals. My original prediction for the Rangers versus the Capitals was Rangers in 5. Turns out the Rangers swept them. Did not really watch much of the series personally, but I did like throwing the Rangers into all my parlays because I knew that this was a free win for them. They look pretty solid. So, yeah. And moving on to the last series, we had the New York Islanders versus the Carolina Hurricanes. My original prediction for this series was Hurricanes in 6 games. It turns out it only took them 5. Hurricanes, as I stated before, always look in the playoffs. Not surprised to see them win here against the Islanders, who are a lower seed. Some tough losses for the Islanders in their botched comebacks and botched leads. But the Hurricanes are moving on to create a great series between the Hurricanes and the Rangers. My original prediction, I didn't give us a game count for it, so I just had the Rangers winning. So we'll stick with that. I think the Rangers get it done. We already saw game 1 today was won by the Rangers, which I also did not watch, unfortunately. But I believe that the Rangers can get this done against the Hurricanes. This is like bad versus evil for me. I hate New York and I hate the Hurricanes, so I don't really care who wins the series. I'm just going to tune in for some good hockey. Okay, so that was my speech or my updated NHL thoughts for the second round. Now I will go into the NFL draft, where I have not spoken on that since it happened. So for those of you who are following my mock drafts, we were looking really good after 4 picks. I had Caleb Williams number 1, I had Jaden Daniels number 2, I had Drake May number 3, I had Marvin Harrison number 4, and then the Chargers took Joel, which was like okay, and then I had Malik Neighbors at 6, but then after that I missed everything. So unfortunately, it's another year in the mock draft where I only get 5 right, but 5 is a good number. I like that number. Only up from here. Getting 5 is still pretty good in my book, and this year I happen to be I'll be at the top. So usually I nail like a 20 or 220 picks, but only got the top 5 of the top 6 this year. So got to work on my game. Got to become a better scout. Got to get better at reading the tea leaves. I got 3 winners here and 3 losers, mostly from the first round. So number 1 winner is the Chicago Bears. As I stated before, I'm a really big believer in Caleb Williams. Plus, you get Roma Dunze, that he literally has no excuse for in this offense to fail. Caleb having Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, and Roma Dunze as wide receivers, and then he has Cole Kmet at tight end. They signed DeAndre Swift. They have Khalil Herbert. They have other options at running back. I think the Bears are a sneaky playoff team here and maybe could even win a game in the playoffs. I think they did really well in this draft. They got a punter. Not that factored into me counting them as a winner, but I just really liked what the Bears did here. Didn't have a lot of picks, but made the most of all their picks. I liked what another team I thought won was the Eagles. Seems every year we're giving the Eagles like an A plus or an A grade, and maybe I'm falling into the trap of just not really knowing much about the draft. But I liked the Eagles taking the corner from Toledo, Quinyon Mitchell, and I liked. Is that his name? I hope it's his name. And then Cooper DeJean. They really just got defensive parts they needed. Just really going based off their first 2 picks. I really just think Darius Slay and James Bradbury are at the end of their days. So Eagles are a winner in my book. And then the last team I had winning was the Raiders. Raiders were linked in all sorts of Michael Penix talk and all sorts of quarterback controversy. Well, not controversy, but I would think they should give Aiden O'Connell a year to prove that he's the guy. If he is, then great. If not, then you get a quarterback next year. I don't think they needed to draft a quarterback this year, especially when they just signed Gardner Minshew. Turns out they didn't trade up, they stayed put, and Brock Bowers fell into their lap. So now they have a great young tight end, one of the best prospects in the draft. People said to pair with their young quarterback and young core of offense and defense and their new coach, Antonio Pierce. So my 3 winners from the drafts, and this could be totally wrong, but I had the Chicago Bears, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Las Vegas Raiders. Now going into 3 losers. I really only had 1, but I had to pick 2 other teams just to make it balanced. So I think number 1 loser in my mind is the Broncos. They drafted Bo Nix because he studied his homework. Congratulations. This guy's not going to be good in the NFL. They're saying he's like Drew Brees. That's not good. Drew Brees was a rare case of a short quarterback being good. and you're taking a lot of chances picking Bo Nix. In my opinion, I think that was a high reach. I didn't personally think Bo Nix would go in the first round even. So I was baffled by this pick, and I don't know. I just didn't really think that this was the pick for the Broncos. I think they have more pressing needs. Clearly, they think Jarrett Stidham can be the starter. They just traded for Zach Wilson. I don't know. I don't know if Bo Nix is the answer at quarterback. So I'm putting the Broncos as my number one loser of the draft. Second, I had the Packers, and this is only based off watching the draft when they picked. I think it was offensive tackle. That one Packers fan with the cheese head just got clowned by the Lions fans around him, and he looked super miserable. So Packers lose because that one fan got clowned, and I think that tackle wasn't really supposed to go in the first round. It was kind of a reach, but he'll probably be the best offensive tackle of all time now that I'm saying this. My last loser was the Buffalo Bills, just because they traded with the Chiefs for a wide receiver and then used their later pick to pick a wide receiver. They must not be in love with Xavier Worthy, and spoiler alert, he dropped his first pass of OTA, so he's not going to be good at football, guys. But I don't know. I just feel like the idea of trading with the Chiefs was not good. Online, they were getting slandered for it, and I'm just realizing these last two are kind of just stupid loser picks. But Bills lose because they traded with the Chiefs for a wide receiver when they could have got one. But Keon Coleman's going to be a dog probably, and Xavier Worthy looks like a fake version of Tyreek Hill. So maybe they won. I don't know. Just had to pick two losers to balance out the winners. Now I want to talk about the Patriots draft class. I thought they knocked it out of the park. Just completely on Belichickian draft where they pick, just to recap the names, they had Drake May, quarterback, Jalen Polk, wide receiver, Caden Wallace, tackle, Leighton Robinson, guard, Javon Baker, wide receiver, Dial, corner, Joe Milton, quarterback, Jaheim Bell. So what this draft means is Bailey Zappi will be a free agent and will probably never play another down in the NFL, which is no problem to me. You get Jalen Polk and Javon Baker, who I really like Baker. I think he will be a stud. Polk, I'm iffy on, but I'm in an optimistic mood now, so I think he can be okay. And you get rid of some of these bums like Juju and Tyquan Thornton, put him at the bottom of the depth chart. With Demario Douglas and Kendrick Bourne, if one of these guys works out, maybe in a couple of years, you have a decent wide receiver room. You can keep adding to it. I would have liked it if they added T. Higgins or Brandon Ayuk, but I don't think if they didn't like the fit or the price was too high, then that's okay. You got two young wide receivers here to possibly fill the hole that's been plaguing this offense. And also adding on Kadon Wallace and Leighton Robinson. We'll see if they can do anything. Our offensive line needs a lot of help. Apparently, Kadon Wallace is not that good, but we'll see. You got to throw darts at the board. You got to take people. So I appreciated Mayo doing that. He made some decent trades too. And yeah, I'm excited for the Patriots to see what they have to offer on offense this year. And I don't want Drake May to play a single down this year, but he probably will play later on in the season, which is fine. Jacoby Brissett will probably start. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on from the draft was just the whole Michael Penix situation. Now you might be questioning why didn't I put the Falcons as one of the losers, but I actually kind of respect their philosophy. I just hate it for Kirk because I recently became a Kirk Cousins guy after watching the quarterback show. This guy, poor guy, just signed a new contract with a new place, and they are already drafting his replacement in the first round at the 8th overall pick. Just didn't like the way that went down, but I understand what they're doing. The funny clip of the GM explaining what they were doing to the owner, but I think it makes sense. I question if Penix was the guy to do this with, considering he's super old and injured. But once Kirk's contract is up in 2 years, Penix should be ready. And I am a full believer in but keeping quarterbacks on the bench to come off the bench and be better. I mean, we saw with Jordan Love this year. We saw it with Aaron Rodgers. We saw it with Tom Brady. Even a lot of these guys, they don't just come in and start right away. Mahomes, out of here. You need to bench the quarterback and have him learn behind somebody for a little bit. And I think the sweet spot is anywhere between like 1 and 3 years, and after that they come in ready. They're more ready to perform, and I think this situation makes sense with Penix. Although I just didn't love the optics of it. I thought maybe they could have also traded down and gotten a better pack. Well, they could have picked up more picks or whatever. I just think that Penix at 8 was a little high, but I'm not putting them on the losers because I understand what they're trying to do, and I think it's innovative. I think other teams should take note and keep that in mind for the future because For example, Bryce Young thrown into the fire, not good. There's probably a million other people like that. So just keep that in mind. Quarterback's got to sit. Drake May hopefully will sit. Phoenix will sit, and we'll see what he's like in 2 or 3 years. So those are my quick thoughts on the NFL draft and my 5 correct picks in the first round. Last thing I wanted to talk about, just updating all my sports thoughts, was UFC 301. Obviously, had the UFC predictions drop on Friday, and I'm sorry to the people of the DubCast Nation. I went 1-3 on the betting card. Just completely missed on the main 2 events. Had the complete wrong read. Well, we'll get into one of the reads, but I'm trying to think who was the last one that also. Jack Shore. Okay, so I'll actually talk about all these fights, but I'm sorry for going 1-3, guys. I'm gonna do better. The more I watch, the more I'll know what's going on. I can make better picks, and I'll be back for UFC 302 to claim redemption and do better. So I'm gonna go over the fights that stood out to me, which three of the 5 I'll talk about are the ones that I lost bets on. So first we had Steve Urchek in the main event, and I was terrified of Urchek. I don't know. I had a feeling that he was going to win, but then just leading up to the fight, I was like, how is this guy going to do it against Pantoja? He's pretty good, but he got in the ring and he was outstriking him. He was doing better on boxing, but he just kept shooting and going for takedowns for no reason. And that's what I think ended up losing in the fight, because he lost on 2 of the 3 judges, the two actual sane judges cards. He lost in the last round, and I think if he doesn't go for those takedowns, he may be the champ right now. I don't know. You don't go into try and shoot and take down Pantoja. I thought that was really stupid. We saw him hurt Pantoja with the elbow to the head. Pantoja was bleeding and bleeding. I thought if he kept that on the feet, Urchek would be our champion right now, and I'd be rich. But obviously, casual gamblers can't win. So also, book it with Trent. Fuck you for picking Urchek. This was a cursed pick. If I knew Trent was going to pick Urchek, it'd be all over Pantoja. So I'm blaming Trent for this one. The other one I got wrong, Martinez. Jose Aldo is just a freaking dog. He comes out and looks legitimate. It looks like he's going to come for one last title run. And just something seemed off with Martinez, whether that was his training. He looked slow. He looked out of it. Maybe it was a bad weight cut. I don't know. Aldo just completely dominated him in every round. There wasn't even a moment where Martinez looked good. So that was a weird fight, considering Martinez had come off a lot of wins and Aldo hadn't fought in 2 years. So props to Jose Aldo. He did it for his people in Brazil. Some other fights that I didn't bet on. The Anthony Smith guillotine choke was crazy. I believe I called him a punching bag in my preview and analysis, which is funny looking back on, because this idiot that tried to just let him guillotine him. So props to Anthony Smith. I was wrong. You're not a punching bag. You had a layup guillotine choke, but that was a good choke. Congratulations. Seriously, props. Nasty stuff. You're like plus 600, so you probably won people money if they bet on you. And then we had Michael Pereira doing his crazy shit. He tries to do a backflip and knees. He does like a backflip and knees this guy in the head, which was low-key illegal, but he won the fight. Obviously didn't bet on this. Just thought, justice for Potiera. That was bullshit. Final fight was the Jack Shore, who I gave as an underdog to bet on. He had a decent effort, but then he just had a nasty cut in his leg, so I'm not going to complain about him. That was a good fight by him. Go get him, Tiger, get that leg fixed, and yeah, I'll be better next card, guys. This was a weird card with a lot of favorites, or a lot of high favorites, so I didn't want to touch that. So that's going to wrap up my sports thoughts video. We covered a lot in this episode. Had our first guest on with Cam. Let me know what you guys thought of Cam and who you want me to pull on here as guests in the future. So with that being said, I'll go into what's next. So I'm going to have a review for All the President's Men, the much awaited review. A lot of people have been asking me, where's this review? I really want to see you talk about this movie. So that will be one of the next videos, or next podcasts. And after that, we have Survivor on Wednesday, picking up steam. We have the Final 7. And just finished the documentary McGregor Forever. So that will also be coming out soon, a review and run through of that. And still on Succession. I have to watch one more episode before I can give my five episode reactions and review. Yeah, and then also Dead Poet Society is my next movie I will watch, so I'll have a review. So that is kind of the next week or so in the DubCast world. As always, thank you guys so much for your love on Instagram and YouTube and Spotify. Keep it coming. We got more content coming, and I appreciate you guys listening to me and giving the 5-star ratings and stuff. I'm gonna keep grinding content for you guys, so stay tuned. So yeah, peace out. Watch a lot of sports this week. We got second round NHL, NBA, and yeah, keep it easy.